Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault. We're going to talk about the war on gaming. Yay, US government's always at war with something. So let's cue up the music and we'll get right to it. Alright, so we got US Senator accuses Valve of allowing hate groups to spread on Steam. Who is this clown? It's Mark Warner, U.S. Senator from Virginia, the chairman of the Senate Intel Committee. And we can see right here, virulent anti-Semitism is proliferating on the social media platform Steam, exposing millions of users to hateful, violent rhetoric. I'm pushing for them to clean up their platform. And who is he working for? None other than these douchebags here, the ADL. These guys are disgusting. They used to stand for something, and now they're basically a hate group themselves that goes out there and tries to cancel anybody that disagrees with anything that they say. So fuck you, ADL, and fuck you, Mark Warner. Let's go ahead and read this article, though, together. We'll talk about it. He's raised concern over hateful content. The ADL found millions of instances of hate speech, and Valve's past hands-off approach to content moderation has led to continued issues on Steam. All right, so first off, defining hate speech is where the problem is, right? Because it's hard to define what hate speech could be. What could be considered hate speech? What one person considers hate speech, another might not consider hate speech. Now, people generally will agree that using the N-word is hate speech, right? But then you have black people using it when they speak to each other. So in that instance, it's not hate speech. So which one is it? It can't work both ways there. Is threatening somebody hate speech? I'm going to kill you. Is that hate speech? How about in the context of playing a game? I'm going to kill you next round, Or you got somebody at the last second and he got mad. He's like, oh, I'm going to kill you, man. That was great, Are these definitions of hate speech? What are these guys talking about? What's the context of these comments? I don't trust the ADL and I don't trust the U.S. government. I don't trust any of them. This is just another way that the government wants to control the way people think and talk, and it disgusts me, and especially because they're involved with the ADL of all groups, man. Just vile. Anyway, on November 15, 2024, Mark Warner, a U.S. Senator from Virginia, published an open letter to Steam's parent company, Valve, identifying widespread use of the platform in spreading hateful speech and images. Steam is the world's largest online gaming distribution platform with a robust array of social networking features. The service generates billions in annual revenue for Valve and represents the majority of the company's market value. The letter comes on the heels of an investigation into Steam by the Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism that found millions of instances of hateful content, including swastikas and anti-Semitic cartoons, posts supporting terrorist organizations and mass shooters, and avatars utilizing white supremacist iconography. While some developers and publishers are pushing back against discriminatory behavior, Steam has, in the past, been reticent to moderate either the content of its games or its social forums. Now, I remember seeing a game designed by a troon the other day. I think that's a word, right? That represents a transitioning person, a troon. Is that one of their terms or one of ours? I don't know. But anyway, where they had to go in and kill, I think it was TERFs. That's their word, right? For excluding something feminist, radical feminist. Women, normal women. Let's just cut it down. So you had to kill normal women, priests, and dogs. And it was done in the style of like the old Doom from back in the day, like way back, the original Doom. Or Wolfenstein even. It might have been even like Wolfenstein style. Whatever. And that was the game, right? Is it a hateful game? Yeah, it's a hateful game. Because the person did it from a point of hate and all that. Does it hurt anybody? Not really. It's stupid. It's really stupid. And it just shows what a small person that is. And should it be up there? Yeah, I think it should be up there. That's that person's art. However twisted and immoral it is, however filled with hate it is, and however against what I believe it is, the game should be up there. Is it promoting violence? It's a game, okay? Any gamer knows the difference between a game and reality. Now there are people out there with mental illnesses and all that. That's never not gonna be a thing. That can't separate reality from fiction. We remember the guy that tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan back in the day because he was obsessed with Jodie Foster, right? Wanted to impress her. I don't remember the guy's name now, but that was his thing, right? The people with mental illnesses, something is going to trigger him. If the video game didn't exist, the movie would. If the movie didn't exist, the TV show would, or the song would, or the commercial, or the advertisement they saw in a magazine. Something would trigger that mental illness and cause that person to break if that's the way that person is wired. So, you can't blame these things for it. And as far as hate speech goes, again, what is the definition of hate speech and who's defining hate speech, right? Okay, so I can't use the N-word against a black person, but a black person can call me a cracker, which is a derogatory term. I can't call gay people the F word, but they can call me cis, which is a derogatory term. You see where I'm going with this? So is it a two-way street? Is it a one-way street? Where is it there? Is it a free-for-all? I mean, it's stupid. You can't police this stuff. And then to make things worse then, and it's funny because people will start using a different term for things, right? And then all of a sudden the media or somebody will say, well, that's just a dog whistle and that really means this. And you're like, wait a minute, what? Like I remember a few years back when talking about, I forget which guy it was that the police killed. It was a black individual that was killed in an encounter with the police, and it was a justified shooting, but everybody got mad, and he was called a thug because the guy was a thug, which was a criminal. But they're like, no, that's like using the N-word now. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not using the N-word now. Thug is calling someone a criminal. A white guy could be a thug, an Italian guy could be a thug, a Hispanic guy, anybody could be a thug. Come on, guys, don't try to do that stuff. Anyway, as announced in a press release on the senator's website, the letter seeks to clarify Valve's position on the alarming quality of hateful content found on Steam, namely why it's allowed to be there at all. Warner notes that despite Steam's robust monthly active user base and market prominence, the platform has avoided broad public scrutiny over how it handles extremist and hate-based content. Senator Warner cites Steam's own online conduct policy that directs players to refrain from encouraging real-world violence or harassing other users via intimidation and abusive language, among other guidelines. Boom. I support that 100%. We don't need to encourage real-world violence. Don't tell people to harm themselves or anything like that. Don't tell people you're going to come to their house and do things like that. Don't intimidate and abuse and, yeah, it can get out of hand to call somebody something and to make fun of somebody a little bit, and it's all part of gaming, right? That's how men are wired. We berate each other, and we do it from a place of love very often. Even friends, my friends and I, we abuse each other constantly. If you heard us talk to each other, as we're playing, you'd be like, oh, these guys are dicks to each other, but we're having fun, and we all do it to each other, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nobody's feelings are hurt. Nobody's crying over it and all that. So, it is what it is. But yeah, no hate speech, encouraging real world violence and harassing and abusive language getting out of hand. I get that part. That's fine. Anyway, he goes on to challenge Valve's commitment to its own guidelines given the quantity of hateful content and warns against toxic social environments that elevate harassment and abuse. And there's that word toxic. Anyway, Warner also points out that this is not the first time Valve's attention has been called to problematic content on its platform. The ADL, which has launched initiatives against toxic gaming in the past, has investigated Steam before. Also in 2022, Senator Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire, it's always these northeastern freaking liberal assholes, sent a similar letter to Valve head Gabe Newell identifying content espousing misogynistic, white supremacist, and violent ideologies. Warner claims that Valve has done little to stem the flow of vitriol since that communication, continuing to take a hands-off type approach to content moderation that favors allowing some users to engage in sustained bouts of disturbing and violent rhetoric. He goes on to ask for a more granular definition of the types of malicious actions described in a company's policies, details on its enforcement practices, the quantity of conduct policy violations it records, and more. Anyway, content moderation has become a key topic in government relations with major social media companies as disinformation, hate speech, and depictions or encouragements of violence continue to find safe harbor on platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and others. If Warner's letter generates a response of any kind, it may provide insight into Valve's larger position on the subject and its intended trajectory for addressing the harassment, hate speech, and extremist saber rattling currently present on Steam. So really what we got going on here is, gamers, gamers fall into two camps. The majority of gamers are pretty based, right? They don't like any of this crap. They don't like any of this oversight. They don't like any of this DEI crap being pushed on things. They want good games, and that's it, They want to have fun. They want to get out there. They want to bust each other's ass, pick on each other, have a good time, and play games. Then you've got the soft, little, weak ones and all that. And those are the ones that are crying, right? They're the ones that are going to the ADL about this and telling on everybody else and ruining the experience. The tourists, the little, the they, thems. They're the ones that are crying about this kind of stuff. And that's the case. But, we hear about these things, right? But I want to see the examples. What are you calling hate speech, And until we see these examples of what hate speech is, and that's the problem with these social media platforms, is they never define this stuff. You just can't do harassment. It's very ambiguous what they say. So that leaves it wide open for interpretation, and depending on whoever's reviewing your case and how they look at you and see you, and if they look at your posts and stuff like that, if they have a different mindset than you, for instance, a different political leaning. We saw this back when Jack Dorsey was in charge of Twitter. And it was just full of raging left-wing lunatics working for it. I told a girl to make a sandwich for me one time, some feminist that was making some nasty post about something. I was like, just sit down and make me a sandwich. Got me 48 hours banned. I'm like, are you kidding me? For making a sandwich. Give me a break, man. That was just, that was unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. I never got my sandwich, by the way, but whatever. The government's really trying to crack down. We remember the government had backdoor deals with Twitter to get information from them. There's like a direct pipeline to get information from Twitter to the federal government during the Jack Dorsey days to feed them information so they could spy on people and all that. And I have a feeling this is what the government's pushing for here as well with Valve, is to be able to go in there so that they can monitor people and see what's going on and, put people on lists and all that, because I don't trust the way this country is going. This country is in a really bad place right now, a really bad place. I'm hoping that the new regime that steps in is able to put a stop to this kind of stuff, but the criminals in charge right now are not going to let go easily. They're not going to let go of their power easily. They're making money hand over fist by fleecing us all, and they're not going to give that up easily, not without a fight. So, this is going to be part of it, gamers. We talk about DEI on this channel a lot, and the silliness of pronouns in games and non-binary kunaris and all that idiocy and all that. But this is something pretty serious here. And, government intervention in gaming, not cool at all. This is why you got to pay attention to what's going on in the world. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and always be careful what you say online, because, we all have feds assigned to watch us. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, peace.